Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Lilla for PokerNews.com. I want to thank you for being here today. If you have not already, head over to PokerCoaching.com right now, sign up for your free 7-day trial, and start going through the past quizzes and homework webinars. I have all sorts of content there to help you become a much better poker player, and it is completely free for 7 days. And, binge it, go through it for 7 days, then cancel. It will not offend me. I want to help you become the best poker player you can, and it's easy to do. Go to pokercoaching.com and get to work. All it takes is a little bit of work. So today let's talk about a dicey hand from a $10,000 buy-in tournament that I perhaps played a little bit poorly. We are starting to get relatively shallow, only 31 big blinds. I open it up to 2-point-something big blinds, 2.4 big blinds, and a tight aggressive kid calls in the big blind. Flop comes 8-7-6. All right. This is a flop that is very, very good for my opponent's range and very, very bad for my range. Meaning, my opponent has all of the sets here. He also has 10-9, maybe 9-5 suited. He has all the two pairs. He has 5-4 suited. And he just has a lot of pairs with draws, like 9-8, 9-7. He has all the flush draws too, right? So the opponent could have all the nut hands here. And I may not have all the nut hands. I may not even open pocket sixes here at a tough table. I don't have 5-4 suited. I don't have 9-5 suited. I probably don't have 7-6. Certainly not 7-6 offsuit, right? And so for that reason, I need to be very cautious here. I need to be betting with only my best made hands and my draws. Now, is pocket 10s one of my best made hands? It actually is. It's a pretty good hand. However, if I bet here and get raised, am I happy about getting all of my money in? And I would definitely say the answer to that is no. So I have a few options here. I can either check, bet small, or bet big. And I think I just need to check. This is something I've been working on adding to my strategy over the last 6 months or so, or a year or so, where I'm doing a lot more checking in these scenarios, looking to just call turn and call river. Because imagine I bet the flop with my 10s and aces and sets and straights. What does that do to my checking range? Well, it makes my checking range very, very weak, right? My checking range is going to be a bunch of ace highs and marginal one pair hands. And if my opponent just bets the turn and bets the river, well, I have to fold almost all of that by the river. So how do we avoid that? How do we not make that happen or not let that happen? Well, we check back some hands that can very easily call down. And some overpairs are very, very easy hands to call down. And 10s with a 10 of clubs is quite nice because sometimes we end up making a random straight on the river. We make a flush by the river sometimes. And that's going to be very good for me. So I think I need to be checking behind in this spot. This time, though, opponent checked, and I decided to bet small. And I don't like this bet size either. We're messing up this hand left and right already. Sometimes you have to embarrass yourself in front of the whole world. I'm not afraid to do it. I won't make this mistake again. So I bet 3,500. And the problem with this bet is that if our opponent has anything, he's getting great pot odds to continue. Notice he has to put in 35 to win a pot that's going to be 14,000, so he needs to realize 25% equity. I mean, like any draw, any pair, all of that's getting the right price. So in this scenario, you're going to find when you want to bet very infrequently, you also want to be betting big. So I think a 7,500 bet or 7,000 bet would have been better. But like I said, I really don't want to play for all my money here, which means I should probably check. I have a video discussing when to continuation bet and how much on YouTube. You can find it at, search when to continuation bet and how much, and it'll come right up. So go check that out. I bet 3,500, he calls. So he probably does have one of those pairs and draws. He checks turn, and now we're again faced with a similar situation, but except this time, instead of having a very good made hand, I now have a pretty marginal made hand. I don't expect my opponent to have a lot of queens unless they are queens with a club. Notice I have the 10 of clubs. That blocks queen 10 of clubs. That's fine. Interestingly enough, my opponent does just call my flop bet. I probably have the best hand. So knowing I have the best hand on the flop and the queen doesn't change a ton, I don't think it's so bad to just keep betting again for value and protection. That said, if I'm betting all my pairs and better, what does that do to my checking range? It makes it garbage, right? So in this scenario, I think I need to check behind again most of the time, but I do not think a small bet is nearly as bad in this scenario. So I do check, or do a bet small, and my opponent just folds and I win. So whenever he folds here, what is he likely folding? Well, he's probably folding out some junky one pair, some junky draw, And, we protect our equity, but notice we are actually opening ourselves up to lose a bigger pot, and we're opening ourselves up to get blown off our hand. It would be so bad for my opponent to check jam me on the turn, right? And especially when you're playing high stakes tournaments against good players, or just against anyone who's reasonably aggressive, you have to be very careful in this spot, because if your opponent does check raise you frequently, you're just lighting your money on fire, assuming you're going to fold, and if you call, well, we're hero calling for all of our chips, and that's also not so fun. So be careful in this spot, because you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. I think the preferable line would have been to check behind on the flop, check behind on the turn, and then call a river bet. Or if you bet the turn, call the turn, and then call the river. Make sure you protect your checking range. Don't leave it hanging out to dry. It does matter. And one of the easiest ways to beat people is to just listen to what they say with their betting actions. And if they check, and you know their checks are weak, bluff them. So if people think your checking actions are weak, make sure you're calling down a decent chunk of the time. I think a lot of people in this scenario on this flop, when they check behind, they have a hand like ace jack or queen 10 or something like that, and they end up folding almost all of that range by the river unless they improve. And if you do that, you're just going to get run over by players who know what they're doing. So that's me it for today. Thanks a lot for being here. Good luck in your games. I hope you have a great week. Make sure you get that free trial at pokercoaching.com, and I'll talk to you next time.